By the time other speakers are joining, for just a intro between all the speakers, may I request that each of you speak for 2 minutes about yourself and your organization, so that all of you are on the same page. Requesting Dr. Vikas Singh to start, please.
Right. Raviji, it's a pleasure that I'm here with this these esteemed panelists. My name is Dr. Vikas. I am Executive Director with ITS Education Group. Our group is based in Greater Noida and Ghaziabad. We have 4 campuses, 2 of which are dental colleges, ITS dental colleges. One is management campus, and the 4th one is the engineering college. And we are now, we got the permission from the state government, the LOI for converting this education group into a state private university. So, God willing, next year we'll be starting, we'll be converting our campus into a state university.
Congratulations.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Pleasure.
Yeah. May I request Vishal Sood to kindly introduce.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Vishal Sood. I am Executive
Your
Director
voice is not audible.
I am Vishal Sood. I am Executive Director for Maharishi Markandeshwar deemed to be university. I'm proud to say that we were the first self-financed engineering, dental and medical college of Haryana. So we have a legacy of around 25 years. And basically we are one of the top, NARF top 100 ranked university. And I'm honored that I'm part of this very esteemed panel.
Welcome, Vishal. Thanks for joining. Welcome, Raghav. Raghav Gupta from Coursera, I can see here.
Hey, Raghav. Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi, Atul. Sorry, I couldn't see myself in the video, so I was wondering where I am, but I can see myself now.
So I was just asking like each of the speakers to introduce themselves so that all our audience is aware about them, and then I will hand over it to Atul to take over and start the session. So requesting Karan Kumar to kindly introduce yourself. Karan?
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Karan. I head the information technology at OP Jindal Global University, also known as JGU. JGU was founded in 2009. It's been 11 years, and we have around nine different schools now with different disciplines, all being related to social sciences, ranging from law, business, international affairs, environmental studies, and whatnot. JGU recently got the QSI Lead Certificate for Excellence in Online Education, and it has also been ranked by QS as the #1 private university in India, for the young university category, and that's about it. Thank you. Back to you guys.
Welcome, Karan, and requesting Professor Sarit Das to kindly introduce yourself.
I'm Sarit Kumar Das. I'm Director of IIT Ropar. Before this, I was in IIT Madras. In fact, I'm still a professor of IIT Madras, and for 20 years, and I was also the Dean of Research towards the end at IIT Madras. Now, coming back to IIT Ropar, I think you are aware of the fact that in recent times, higher educations, we came out as the one of the top 2 Indian universities in Times Higher Education ranking. The #1 was ISC Bangalore, and #2 was IIT Ropar. In Times Higher Education, in recent rankings, we have come out at 47th in Asia and 67th among the young universities, that is universities which are born in last 50 years of the world. We are 62nd among all the world young universities. And in NIRF, we are 25, which is below our expectation. In another 2 years, we will be in top 10 for sure, because our results have just started coming. The changes that we made 5 years back, that is coming now, and I'm absolutely sure in 3 more years we will be in top 10. There's no doubt about that.
Ravi, I will interrupt over here because we follow IIT Ropar very closely. And I have to really congratulate Professor Das. There's a parameter called Field Weighted Citation Index, which basically demonstrates the quality of academic research in the institution. And IIT Ropar has done amazingly well. Still not recognized by the big IITs. I was speaking to my dear friend from IIT Kanpur. The big IITs are still considered the smaller institutions as, stepbrothers, but you will see absolutely what Professor Das is saying. You will see IIT Ropar getting into the top 200 of THE rankings, and that's what's going to happen. Sorry, I interrupted, but we are big fans of yours, Dr. Das.
Fantastic, Professor Das.
I wanted to mention one thing, which is because you said field-weighted, citations, and for that, IIT Ropar in Times Higher Education is #1 in the world.
Absolutely, and you will be pleased, Dr. Das, that we are just behind you. We have a field weighted citation index of 2.25, so you might be getting competition from Shoolini.
Okay, very good.
Fantastic. So good to have a good competition, and let me request Sudhanshu Varma ji to kindly introduce yourself.
Fantastic.
Good evening, everyone. I work with Bennett University. And I think we are the youngest in this whole group. We just about entering our 5th year. Many more years to go. And it's great to be part of this panel. I think we are, and we got Raghav here, so it's like the right platform to discuss on what the way forward is going to be. The way it's been. I wouldn't say much about Bennett. I think so. It's backed by the Times Group. So thanks to them, we are doing our effort to bring what we can in terms of quality education into the country, and trying to do it differently, I hope.
And our speaker, like another speaker, is just trying to join, Professor.
So we can have Raghav introduce himself. Raghav, if you could.
Raghav. Yeah.
Sure. My name is Raghav Gupta. I'm Managing Director for Coursera in India and Asia Pacific. I'm based in Gurgaon. Real pleasure to be meeting all of you today and to be on this panel. As many of you may know, Coursera is a fairly large higher education platform headquartered out of Mountain View in California. And I lead Coursera for India and Asia Pacific.
Fantastic. Welcome, Raghav. And I will request Atul Khosla to introduce himself, and he can then start the session. But before he does that,
I think we have Professor Gore also with us. So
yes, actually, I was that's what I was thinking, that if he's online or not, I can't see.
You can't see him. Okay, why don't I start? I think we'll wait for Professor Gore to come in, and he can introduce himself as we get into the Q&As.
Yes.
So, Atul, if I may, and sorry to really interrupt you, the red headphones are really fantastic.
Thank you.
Really striking, sir.
Okay, I'll tell you the reason for that too, Raghav, but thank you so much. Good evening to everyone, and welcome to this absolutely fantastic webinar. I don't think we could have a panel better than what we have today. It's absolutely fascinating to be with all of you. Thank you, Ravi, to make this happen. And thank you, all you beautiful people who are there participating, listening to us. Hopefully, we'll add a tremendous amount of value in your thinking. I personally have lots and lots of questions, and hopefully, we'll demystify this whole world of digital online learning. Very quickly, my name is Atul Khosla. I am the founder and Pro-Vice Chancellor of Shoolini University. We are located in Khosla Hills, Himachal Pradesh. We are a little schizophrenic in the way we run. At one end, we are deep research and innovation centric. At another level, we work with the lesser privileged students of India. THE is very, very dear to us, Professor Das, and that's why we look into the way IIT Ropar works. Just to give everyone a context, we benchmarked ourselves with the THE. They benchmarked us actually, and we were bracketed joint with IIT Bombay in 4th in the country. It's still not an official result. It's still a benchmarking because we can't apply at the moment. There's some vintage needed for THE, but just shows our passion towards research and innovation. Online has been very dear to us. We started working on what I call Project Meghdut 5 years back. Meghdut was the son of Ravan. He could be anywhere at will. And that's what we believe is the power of technology. Students should be able to learn wherever they are. And I think that's true for the story for all of us on this panel, that we should be able to give the best to our students. I think personally, a great revolution is happening in education. Many of us wanted to break the box of the way higher ed was happening. And I'll throw some statistics over here. There's been a huge amount of academic inflation that has happened across the world. One in terms of, I think we need to mute Professor Gore, if the host can please do that. I'll appreciate Akash or others. So I was talking about academic inflation, both in terms of the fees of a degree compared to, and I'm not talking about the government institutions here, but in general across the world, there's been a tremendous increase in the fees. And the second thing is academic inflation is also about the basic degrees. So from undergrad to master's to PhD, pretty much everyone wants a PhD today. So this is an unsustainable world because the same product is being sold at a much higher rate. What I mean by that is higher ed, in my opinion, hasn't changed for 40 years. My classroom at IIT Kanpur continues to look exactly the same, and it's time for us to change. And COVID has actually brought in, I think it's been a catalyst for making that change happen. So lots of challenges. We are still learning how the way the world is going to change. We are looking forward to players like Coursera to lead us into the change. I've been a big fan of Raghav. I remember 6 months or 8 months back, I came to Raghav and said, I want Coursera everywhere. Every student should learn from Coursera, but he proposed a fee which I could not afford. I think his total fee was higher than the total fees I had for the university. But sensible things are happening now with Coursera. We'll talk about that, Raghav. So anyway, the world is changing, and we are all struggling to make sure that we bring in more rigor into our teaching, we bring in more learning into our teaching, and we can prevent the digital divide not to happen. So this whole discussion about digital divide. So that's really the first question of the day. How do we ensure that we continue the upskilling and reskilling of our students? And I would add two more thoughts over here. Emotional intelligence and EQ also becomes a very, very important part of university education, making leaders and making them problem solvers. And for that, interaction of students and learning on campus also becomes extremely, extremely important. And I think it becomes a huge challenge for us to ensure that the type of education we want to give to our students continues in the digital world. And we benefit from the huge advantage of delivering quality education, leveraging technology. So that's really my first question. How do we go about doing that? And I'll request a 2-minute answer from each one of the panelists, and I'll mention the names. So we'll start with Raghav, because you're really on the, you guys are on the front of what's really happening in this transformation. So two minutes on the role that platforms like yours are going to play as far as future of higher ed is concerned.
Absolutely, and thank you, Atul. So I'd like to, and you said the context very well already, but I just love to share a little bit from our perspective, because Coursera has the vantage point of seeing across countries, across many, many institutions around the world, what's been happening. And from our point of view, especially with COVID-19, we are seeing that, one, it's important to emphasize that COVID-19 has disrupted jobs big time. And also it has accelerated the need for technology in higher education. And I'd just love to share a little bit of statistics because these are pretty alarming. The ILO tells us that 44 crore jobs around the world are going to go away because of the impact of COVID. And crores of these are in India as well. Second, UNESCO tells us 20 crore students in higher education are affected, of which roughly about 4 crore are in India. And at the same time, we've seen on the Coursera platform that adoption of online has been massive in the last 4-5 months. Globally, we've grown by about 650% compared to last year. And in India, we've grown by 1400%. So the levels have just been incredibly high. And the fourth point I'd like to mention is that we are seeing regulators starting to play a bigger role in enabling online to be used by institutions. And so in India, for example, all of us know that UGC, AICT, MHRD are talking about online being raised from 20% to 40%. And so in this context, what we've done in mid-March this year is we'd made the Coursera for Campus platform available for free to all universities around the world and in the country, universities and colleges. And this was about 3,800 MOOC courses on our platform, very relevant for many, many different disciplines of higher education. As on date, and this program is continuing for the next few months, but as on date, there are 10,000 programs that are running, of which about 3,400 are in India, across different colleges, different universities. And 1.3 million students are currently benefiting from these programs. And these students have taken 20 million hours of learning on the Coursera platform. All this has happened in these last few months. And what's interesting is that while COVID is forcing learning to shift online, irrespective of that, the kind of feedback that we're getting is what is incredible. So the benefit that students are seeing in terms of both learning outcomes and also career outcomes, the importance of the credential that they're getting as a result of the high quality education, as well as the quality of the institution where that credential is coming from, is incredible. And my sense is that while COVID is forcing, learning to move online, and it's a combination of faculty teaching live on platforms like Zoom and Teams, and also platforms such as Coursera, I think this is a permanent shift that we are likely to see even when, campuses open and so on. And so I don't know whether this is going to go back to campuses adopting technology and online 10% or 20% or 30%, but we might see at least that level of shift. And I think given that platforms like Coursera work with many, many thousands of businesses, we are actually being able to be a very strong conduit into saying what are the kind of jobs industry wants and how do we bring some of that thinking into higher education as well. So I was on a panel at the ETHR conference earlier today, and what I was saying is that we released something called the Global Skills Index. And the biggest skills that business are looking to build are around digital and data, irrespective of the function. You could be working in HR, you could be working in marketing, you could be working in any function. And how do we bring some of that linkages to business? And I think that's something where we want to play a very, very significant role.
Absolutely, Raghav, and you guys are doing such an amazing job. I'm such a big fan of Coursera. I've just enrolled in 3 courses, and these are spectacular. So I'll request everyone to actually do Coursera. It's free right now, and you should use the platform. So, my belief is that the big fat universities concept is going to go away. New disruptors are going to come, and I'm going to ask this question to Dr. Das. Professor Das, you've disrupted the world of academic research in the country. Young university, number 2 in THE, path breaking. I mean, unbelievable, honestly. Are you doing the same thing in online education? I mean, are you bringing the same disruption?
Okay, see, you said we are disrupting, but I am a little bit traditional man. First thing you look at, this disruption on online education, is it coming because of COVID? No, not at all. 6-7 years back, MIT appointed a vice president, Sanjay Sharma, of open learning. I know Sanjay very well because I was a visiting professor at MIT at that time. Now, the thing is, MIT realized that this is coming. There is a YouTube lecture of Clayton Christensen, the Harvard guru, and he tells a couple of years back that this 500-year-old learning system is going to encounter a disruption, and he said it much before we thought of COVID and all that. So this was anyway coming. It's not that it is coming today because of the COVID. COVID has accelerated. The people who were doubtful had no option. They had to take it. So in that way, it is creating a disruption. But then the seeds were there. People were already working there. But what I want to tell that too much of discussion is going on the platform, on the delivery. But the real thing is, if you do not have the quality of content, you are not going to go anywhere. With all the sophistication in technology for learning, Look at this, which are successful online platforms. MIT OpenCourseWare, that's because it is taught by the best of the MIT. What is the other model in India? NPTEL. What is the reason? These are the best teachers of the country. So the thing is that, we can talk about technology, we can talk about delivery, we can talk about connecting, but the content is the main thing, the bringing of the best of the teachers. And we do not have, this is what I would like to emphasize, we do not have the means of bringing the best teachers. We do not have even, researchers we can identify. There are publications, there are this thing, that thing. But the brilliant teachers, how to identify them? We do not have a mechanism. So if we want to have successful online platforms for delivering high quality material, we must have high quality teachers. I can tell you, you go, you find out V. Balakrishnan of IIT Madras. His lectures, he has got lectures on classical physics, quantum physics. Millions of people, they are commenting on that. They are the best teacher. People from, Caltech are writing, this person has given in one lecture what I could not get in a whole semester in Caltech. This is the quality of that particular person. So we must have a mechanism to identify these people. Unless you do that, whatever technology you create, whatever, modes of delivery you create, model you create, yes, there can be model of picking up, as people are saying, picking up credits. You pick up, few credits from IIT Bombay, few credits from Munjal University, few credits from other places, and then you can get a degree. These are probably going to be the models in the days to come. But then the question is, who are going to deliver? What is the quality? I think that is where nobody is working, and that is where you need to work. Identify the best of the teachers, how to do that.
Absolutely. So well said, Professor Das. And you've just taken the words from the passion that we are bringing in. We're actually creating a network of 100 top professors across the world to teach our students and others. So completely resonate with you. I'm going to come to Vishal now. Vishal and Maharishi, Markandeshwar is predominantly into medical education. And I think there's some regulatory challenges because I think MCI still doesn't probably allow online. So I would like to understand from your context, are you seeing online and digital and technology coming into medical education also?
Actually, I would like to start from, where Professor Das, he made a very valid point that the quality of teachers is impacting what we are delivering in the classrooms. So I think what Coursera and online programs, they kind of remedy this situation, because now you can bring that quality teacher to millions of students, through these platforms. But when we have to deliver quality, when we talk about higher education, we get certain product to us. A student, comes with certain mindset, certain attitudes. So, if we talk about quality, even regarding medical education or any other education, certain fundamentals are same. I think we have to look at it in two parts. One thing that higher education needs to focus on is, making student, in terms of attitude, more industrious. One thing that is lacking with students today is they are not very clear about their goals. They are not very self-aware. So if a person is not industrious, I can bring in the best professor in the classroom. I can ask even Shah Rukh Khan to deliver a talk. But if he is focused on a Facebook chat while sitting in the class, I don't think we are going to get that kind of results. So I think apart from specific technical education, if we are not fundamentally changing a person, if we are not bringing that self-awareness into the student, if we are not making that kind of impact, again here, what Professor Das said, a great teacher will inspire people, not just by what technical knowledge that person is delivering, but also from the behavior, from the sincerity. If I talk about my alma mater in IIM Ahmedabad, it was not just the teachers, but our peers also used to inspire us. A lot of peer learning used to happen. So I think one step we have to look at in any conversation, whether it is about technology, whether it is about traditional classrooms, ideally, ultimately there will be a mix. So first we have to, program that has to be consistently offered is making student more industrious, self-aware, focused on goals. Ultimately they will start learning and they will start seeking that, and once the level of student improves, automatically level of teaching will improve, because teacher has to come ready for a very sincere students. Now when teacher come in a classroom and they know that most of the students are not very serious, so they can also take it easy. Now, as MMDU, we offer close to 200 programs apart from medicine. We have engineering programs. We, as I mentioned, that we were the first self-financed engineering program, in Haryana. So technology has helped us in this very difficult times of COVID. So it has accelerated the adoption, although more or less everyone had, feeling that this will be required to, bring quality education to more people. And ultimately it can reduce the cost. You were talking about education inflation. I know you meant by in terms of that, now an MBA has to apply for a role which earlier an undergraduate student could have done. You meant it in that way. But otherwise also, if we look at literal inflation, that could also be controlled by the use of technology. So ultimately there are certain aspects I think current level of technology cannot address. We can bring very good technical knowledge, but certain aspects of classroom, connect certain discussions that happen with peers, the peer learning that I was talking about, that can only happen in traditional classrooms. So we know we have to focus on technology, but it cannot singularly change, or bring an impact or complete learning to a student. Now, second aspect is what is the level of adoption, how regulatory, you are talked about what is the regulatory influences we are having when it comes to providing quality education. I think the traditional education has survived, or it has become kind of a monopoly because regulatory bodies support it. They say that if you study in a building of this size, with this square meters of classrooms, this many benches in it, then you are actually a qualified person. That their intervention is at the wrong places. They are saying that you should have this kind of infrastructure. Now imagine if regulatory body says that if you have a degree from Coursera and if you pass a certain test, you can apply for a government role, any role that is available. So I think the regulatory authority, corporate world have to come together to bring the acceptance of online programs. People are doing it to enhance their skills. A lot of very progressive companies have also announced that if you are skilled enough, we don't care for degree. But the point is, traditional universities like ours, like Shoolini, we are beneficiaries of statutory regulations that who is qualified and who is not qualified. I can assure you, with the current level of quality that is being offered in most of the universities, if Coursera degree or MIT online programs, if you have done those certifications, if you are allowed to apply for a government job, we will not have most of our students. So
well said, Vishal. So well said.
Yeah. So regulatory intervention is required, and but I think the classroom impact, that peer learning, that interpersonal behavior, that canteen discussion, that is a must to give someone a complete education.
So well said, and I think it's time to take the discussion to Karan. Clearly, OP Jindal has been a pioneer in lots and lots of new things. So let's hear from Karan. What are you doing in this whole sphere, Karan?
Thanks, Atul. Being the only non-academician maybe in the panel, maybe except for Raghav, I would like to answer this from a very industry perspective. Especially having been an online learner throughout my life. First off, I understand that the regulations under which we have to create and design courses and assign teaching learning hours for the teachers and students are tight. There is no denying that. It's very difficult to play around with that. However, having said that, the skills that one may learn in a traditional setup may not remain as marketable today as these were a few years or decades back. And it's becoming necessary for everyone to take different courses that may involve either the internet or computers. And this is not just limited to engineering courses. The crux, the question at the crux, I believe, is how we can use these digital tools, technologies to improve the skills that we learn in the regular setup And do we have enough,
Karan,
teaching
I'm going to
learning?
interrupt for a second. There's been a power outage here. So in case I drop off, I'll be back. But in the interim, Raghav, you could pick up from here. I'll appreciate if you could moderate if I'm gone. Over to you, Karan.
Thanks. So I was saying that the crux, the question at the crux, I believe, is how we can use these, digital tools and technology to improve the skills that we can learn we learn in a regular setup, and do we have the teaching learning bandwidth to do so in the given situation? If not, what can supplement this? I just want to take a small example of coding, where we learn basic data structures in the traditional setup. But does that suffice the professional environment when you're coding for a big MNC or for a startup for that matter? What supplements that? Maybe advanced data structure course that you can take on a platform like Coursera. What more do I need to add to that? Maybe some competition, an angle of competition that gamifies the entire experience. Something that requires me to step out of my comfort zone. At the same time, it compels me to do so. We all must understand, as a lot of people have already pointed this out, that online education, just like self-studies, expects a lot of maturity and discipline on the students' part. And just the way many B2C apps, get us hooked to it, the digital courses available on platforms such as Coursera beautifully map the student's journey through these courses. So it's a very good supplement. Before I wrap this up, I would just like to address one important skill that a majority of fresh graduates lack. That is the art of selling. The students should know how to sell themselves, and this holds true for all the disciplines. By the time one may learn the skill while on the job, which takes anywhere between 2 to 5 years, he or she would have missed out on a dozen of amazing opportunities that would have helped them grow throughout their in their personal professional lives. I'm sorry. When you're in the early years of a career, it's important to understand the business impact of what you do, and understand that, beautify that, and sell it like you own it. These important skills may never become a part of the curriculum, especially in technology disciplines. Students must be encouraged to take online courses around soft skills such as networking, email writing, and resume making, for the matter. And it gets a little difficult for tech people to learn soft skills maybe in the beginning, but one may realize its importance. Back to you, Atul.
Thank you, Karan. I think such an amazing discussion. I'd like to bring one point over here, which is the importance of the student-teacher connect, which is so critical. So we ran a very interesting piece of research with around 5,000 odd students across the country, and we asked them, what's the most important thing for you? Is it content? Is it the quality of the technology, the experience, etc.? And the most important number one parameter that has come out, 80% of the students saying, we want to have the ability to speak to our teacher. We want that connect with the teacher, which is very, very critical. So I think that's also a big challenge. I'm going to sort of shift gears a little and talk about the role of regulation, and how will the regulatory space sort of change in the new context. And I'm going to bring in Sudhanshu over here. You're sitting in the seat of Delhi. I'm sure you navigate UGC and other players all the time. But are you seeing a change in regulatory stance, Sudhanshu, vis-a-vis institutions? Are you seeing the fact that they'll be less rigid? They'll allow universities to be more autonomous in terms of curriculum design, new programs, new ways of delivery. We've heard 40% MOOCs delivery through MOOCs, etc., which is already there. But do you see a fundamental change in the regulator?
You should have brought Anil Sahasrabudhe for that.
Well, he would be, he wouldn't have given his honest comments on a panel because he, of course, is the chairman. Probably Sudhanshu will tell us his experience talking to Anil.
So, I don't know, Atul, if you remember or not, about a couple of years back, you and I had a couple of chats.
Yes.
I was with iNurture at that time. We were trying to work with you on creating some specialized program at Shoolini.
Absolutely.
So my take on this is simple, the regulatory focuses in the name of outcome-based education, setting out some parameters. like it was pointed out, so they will look at infrastructure. So for them, maybe infrastructure. If you have the right infrastructure, you produce the right students. I don't know. I don't think so. You have so your regulator will define a number of credits to be done. And honestly, I still don't understand as to what research went into saying what credit and how many credits make you a good engineer or a good MBA or a good BBA or a good BCA, right? Will regulatory bodies change, and will they change in time, I think is more important. The shift which you're seeing from a 20% to a 40% is more pushed by the circumstances. I don't think it is something which is voluntary. This whole thing, and one of the points which came up was, will the government give the job? I think Vishal was saying this, if the government gives job based on what kids get as certifications from Coursera or from MIT online, etc. I think the key thing which regulatory bodies at some point of time will have to realize is a lot of structuring of our curriculums even today is not what the industry or the life is moving towards. We are still trying to, at times ignore the fact that there is a skill part to it, there is a knowledge part to it, and an industry needs both. So if you were to take, let's say, Coursera courses, for example, why can't the course become a part of a regular curriculum? And why is there always a challenge saying that it has to either be a top-up program or it has to be a plus to the degree? And I very strongly believe in only one simple thing. Most of us hear of institutions and then we say, okay, so 5 days a week, 6 hours a day, at best, some of them will stretch it to 6 days a week, 6 hours a day. But then are you really giving or preparing a student for the next 40 years, what is going to happen to him? Because the day he steps into a job after that, and I think Karan can say that as well. And Karan, by the way, I'm not an academician here, so my views are going to be very contrary. When the kid steps into a corporate world, and on the 7th day, his boss calls him and says at 8 in the night, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, I have a presentation. I'm sending you a draft. Take a look at it. Mereko bhej do, then I'll send you back with my comments so that I'm ready at 9 in the morning. The guy will collapse. The guy will collapse because we are so focused on doing that page 1, chapter 1 to page 250, chapter 15, that we are really not pushing him in the right direction. So this whole thing about, guy being industrious and all, believe me, I've seen my daughter. She's now getting into her second year. I think this whole cafeteria discussions, all these face-to-face meetings and all, they've all got replaced now with their Snapchats and their groups, right? They are as live onto the technology as they would have been on a physical space. It's up to us now to see that the way we structure, and I'll tell you this, the way it is being structured by whether it's a Coursera or a Udemy or someone else, it is so much more what is needed in real life versus what used to be done. So I am a product of BITS Pilani. I mean, that was the only institute at that point of time, and I don't know whether it is now or not, where we had 0 attendance. We were not required to go to class to be able to give an exam. And that is something which is a big taboo today. And, it's a strict no-no from the regulatory. So I hope the regulatory changes, and I hope the situation is not what is really pushing them into the change. It should come to them naturally, because that is what the world needs today. Because to me, an outcome-based education, the only outcome that should be measured is whether the kid is finally employable. Does he become one of the most preferred employable resources by the corporate world? That's my bit on it. Like it or don't like it, that's what I believe in. So,
absolutely, Sudhanshu. Ronald Reagan once said that regulators are designed to evaluate mediocrity, and they try to push everyone to the same common denominator because that's what they understand. And I think many of us have these challenges all the time. But I think they have to also play the role because they have to ensure that at the bottom spectrum of institutions, people who are probably not up to the mark, they are pushed at least to the median. So I'm going to sort of ask this same question to Dr. Vikas Singh. So you are setting up a new university. You're in the process of, first of all, congratulations for that. I can understand it's a big change from being an affiliated college to now running your own curriculum, because that's really the autonomy that a university gives you. So I have two questions for you. One is, have you internally asked this question within your group? What is the future of a university? You know, what is the future? How would a future university look like? How will you change that? And again, your experiences with the regulator would love to hear. But I think more importantly, what do you think is the future university? How is it going to look like? Is it going to be large and big, 30,000 students, like we see what I call big fat universities? Or they're going to be hub and spokes? They're going to be different from what we see today? What's your thought on that, Vikas?
Right. Thank you, Atul. You know, and this is very correct. You know, right now we got this letter of intent to start university in 2 years' time, and because of this, you know, situation of COVID, we decided, you know, that we are going to start university next year. And right now, basically, this is the question, you know, that we are trying to answer. That do we need to have, you know, big fat university with large infrastructure, every school having, you know, different building, different departments and having different buildings? But, you know, the main trade-off, I would say, is between having scale and engagement of students. You know, I have a very kind of different experience which I had, because I think learning depends majorly on experience of the learner. You know, how we are creating that environment, the content, the context, everything plays, you know, very important role. And about few years back, you know, I did a program on NPTEL, which was basically by IIT Kharagpur, it was on leadership. And 5 years back, the entire program, the entire, you know, video lecture was basically captured in the classroom. The captured lectures, 50 minutes long, they were delivered, you know, during that program. But now, you know, I did another program from IIT Madras. It was on design thinking. You know, the entire system has matured in a big way. Now, scale and experience, you know, both can be, you know, made very interesting. So, like, you know, now we have good 10 minutes lecture, very nice, you know, peer group activities, you know, as it was mentioned by another panelist, that peer activity is very important. You know, they are creating small communities. They are having, you know, peer reviews, like I'm doing a project, somebody else is reviewing it. I'm getting a chance to review other students, you know, other learners' projects. So I think now this digital platform has matured in a big way. And as Das sir had said, you know, like COVID has been the main accelerator. Because of this, the learning has improved. And I think this is a big transformation which is going to happen with higher education now. It's a moment of big transformation. And I think 40%, you know, in fact, in my college, in my engineering college, 2 years back, you know, we were not very happy as a faculty member when it was said that 20% will be done by MOOCs. You know, we thought that, you know, faculty members might lose their jobs. You know, how this faculty-student ratio can be maintained with reduced number of, you know, lectures to be delivered and more online platform. But now with this experience, I think 40% is a step in right direction. Now we know that faculty members can play a role of more like a facilitator. And we are also, you know, talking to, like very recently I had a meeting with a team from ST, like electronics, they say, big MNC here in Greater Noida. We had a meeting with them. And in fact, they invited some other universities also from Punjab and from other northern India, like states. And the discussion was that can we create something like this where, you know, the academic delivery is done by the teachers, the, you know, the skill part, the practical experience is kind of, you know, delivered by that company. Students are working in projects in that company, and then the entire experience can be created. So I'm quite confident that universities of future or future universities are not going to be those, you know, big fat universities kind of thing. And given a chance, students will be very happy to move towards this platform of blending, you know, blended learning, some classroom content, some content delivered through online courses. And in fact, thanks to Raghav in a big way, because the first was Coursera, which approached all the universities offering free programs. And I was not quite confident that how many students will enroll in the program, but there are 1,000+ enrollments, and more than 400 programs have been successfully completed. Then students also enrolled for EDX platform. So the experience has been wonderful, both for the students as well as for teachers. So I think if this permission is there by the regulatory bodies, the future universities will be very different. They will not be driven by infrastructure. They will not be driven by hard factors. Rather, they will be driven by maybe collaborations. And another interesting part, Atul, I would like to mention here. 5 years back, if somebody had told me that as a director I should have lectures from other universities or other good teachers teaching my student, I would have been I would have shown resistance to that. But today the colleges, the universities have matured, and they are now looking for best faculty members, best courses, and how it can be involved, how it can be included in their own curriculum delivery. So I think this is going to be a big change in the universities, and we are going to have large scales. We are going to have very interesting engagements and a win-win situation for both universities, students, and the entire ecosystem of education in India, I believe so.
So well said, Vikas. I remember 2002. I had a board meeting with Mukesh Ambani. I was in McKinsey in those days, and we were talking about the future of the retail industry, what happens to the Haryana shop. And I remember Mukesh bhai saying, "India mein kabhi bhi koi online nahi kharidega, ho hi nahi sakta." And we now know what the situation is. So that's really, disruptions do change the way people work, and I'm very excited what's really happening, and I think all of you are. I'm going to take it to Professor Gore now. He is with NIT, and typically NITs are considered to be relatively conservative in their approach. I'm saying compared to the IITs. No offenses, but that's the general perception. But we'd like to hear from you. How have you, as your institution, how have you geared to online? Do you see it as a long-term impact? Do you see it only for the short term? And in general, how are the NITs thinking about it?
Thanks. I'm audible?
You are very audible.
So, thanks a lot. So first of all panelists gave me lots of inputs. And when you say IITs being big brother and little kid being out there, NITs are somewhat true. I do not deny that particular one. It's absolutely fine. We look at the big brother in the region, say IIT Kanpur for us at Allahabad is always being the source of inspiration, and likewise. But looking at this aspect, when you say conservative, it's not exactly the case. See, the conservative mindset, when you can say how the input is been coming in. The students which reach these days in NITs or IITs or any other institution for that matter are well aware of the situation. 60% of them. I understand that there are certain students who come from the rural background and have got little exposure. But 60% of them, they know for sure that what they want to be and how will they get there. And in between they check whether they're moving in the right direction or not. And I'll let you know that the seniors and the juniors kind of in a situation, earlier the situation was being different in the hostels and all that, but because of the digital platforms, those barriers have been broken. And lots of students with the peer justification and all that, the senior junior bond is being too high in this situation. So which course to be studied from which place, which university, besides what teacher is teaching in the class, is what the kind of a mentorship is being provided by the senior students to the junior students. Because at my institution, I know for sure that for fourth year students, after getting the job, they used to conduct classes in campus, taking the classes with the mentorship of some faculty members and telling them how to go about their job. So final year doing the job for first year and second year. And this 2-3 years gap used to be maintained later on also in the life. It is continuing, and more so with the digital platform. So when I look at it from that angle, it's something which is I'm not surprised with how readily the students have taken the Coursera subjects, the content they are picking up, and how they are going about their business. We are modeling things already on the digital platform kind of Moodle kind of a situation. Is an open source software which we used to use in the Bluetooth, Blue Diamond technology.
Big blue button.
Yeah, so blue button. I'm sorry, blue button.
Big blue button.
Blue button. Yeah, and we're doing that pretty good job. And the interactions, the blog they're writing, and all that stuff they're doing is marvelous. So, the new generations has adopted and adapted themselves very well to this situation. Now it's on the older generation. Like, see, we are with the gray hair on the scalp, which has been putting up at how fast we do it. So I'm sorry because I got joined late because first time I'm getting on the Zoom, WebEx and MS Teams and all those things were being available for me. So I'm surprised. Half an hour before you tell me, okay, you have to get into Zoom. So that's what the technology will make you smarter. I understand that. Thanks a lot for giving me the time. And I hope I did the job, what exactly you asked for me for.
Thank you, Professor Gore. I'm going to be a little cheeky here. You spoke about gray hair. I'm sure Sudhanshu and I will say that gray hair is better than no hair. So jokes apart, right, Professor Das? Anyway, I think lots of questions we have. I don't think we can go around with all the questions. What I would really like to do for all of us is just take 1 minute each, and please try to make it to 1 minute. Otherwise, we'll just be extending ourselves into dinner time. How do you?
Point here.
Sure, sir. Please go ahead, Dr. Das.
See, one point I just wanted to make, because that was there in mind when I saw the topic of this panel discussion itself. I would like to contradict, or please excuse me, Sudhanshu, a little bit. The thing is that I believe that when we want our people to be skilled and ready for job, but I look at it as a byproduct. University, why do you call them universities? Why don't you call them simple job institute or learning institute? The word universality is there. Universities for ages and even for future are going to generate ideas. And for that should be the focus of universities. I always feel that the job creation, problem solving, what is taught today, that should come as a byproduct. People should be excited to do things, and by the way, they will get skills of problem solving. The aim of a university is not to produce, it seems today that is the trend, but to me, it is not to produce employable people. The aim of a university is to create leaders of the society, and that is through the thought process, that is through the ideas, that is through the non-existent ideas. I think that's what is the task of a university. That's how we dissociate universities. See, in German system, there is they call Hochschule and Fachhochschule. Fachhochschule are job creators, but the Hochschules are the real universities. So we have to understand it that way. I mean, I feel that way.
I so agree with you, Professor Das, and I have to separately come and meet you in Ropar because I can see a resonance of views. I can only tell you at Shoolini, we have not allowed a single corporate to come and teach things like Python and others because skills will go. 2 years down the line, there won't be Python, there'll be something else. But the ability to learn and the ability to lead and collaborate are really the skills that students need to have. And that's what a university should be really pushing. At least that's the belief we have. That's what I learned also at IIT Kanpur, because this debate keeps on coming. What did the IITs do with their students? And I do believe that it gave us skills, need not be engineering skills, but problem solving and leadership skills. But definitely a separate discussion. I think let's come back to the next 6 months because it's going to be a very interesting next 6 months. My belief is it's going to be online. Unlikely students will be coming. Even if they come, it's going to be very patchy. So I would like to hear from each one of you, and I'll just go around the table over here. Please, 1 minute. What is your thought about how the next 6 months is going to roll out? So we'll start with Karan. Karan, if you can tell us, and what exactly are you doing to be prepared for that? Please, 1 minute, Karan.
Sure. Thank you. The next 6 months, as you rightly mentioned, it seems like we're going to stay online at least for the foreseeable future of the 6 months. And as soon as we prepare to get students back to the campus, whenever the government allows us to do that, I still feel that it would not be possible to start off regular academic operations the way we used to do in the pre-COVID era. What we are planning to do is, try out different models. Especially, I'm just going to talk about the academics part of it. JGU is a completely residential campus. I'm going to skip the residential part of it, given the time constraints. So for the academics bit, we are planning to, be prepared if we are supposed to start with the social distancing guidelines. We are prepared to, if at all we are supposed to teach only half the population in the class and half the population virtually. We are preparing for that. We are placing cameras and mics throughout the campus, so different classes on the campus, and we are pretty much ready for that now.
Excellent. Sudhanshu, what about Bennett?
Okay, so as far as all the safety precautions and all goes, we created some 18 chapters. We split everything into different chapter by itself, whether it's a lab, it's a classroom, it's a cafeteria, etc. So all of that is fine. I mean, that's one side of it. But I think the bigger thing that's likely to happen is, so as of now, you don't know when actually the physical campus will open, or when will these state governments give their go-ahead and the central government give the go-ahead. But even after that happens, one is not really sure how many parents would actually send their students to the campus to do it face-to-face, right? And I think a big thing which is where someone like Raghav and his team will play a very critical role is not just continuing to create good quality content, but Raghav, I wanted to say this, when that discussion was happening on the teachers and can the teachers teach online and all that. There are typically two parts, and I think one of those parts lies on your lap, which you need to nail. So there is a passion and then there is a skill. So the passion to teach and the skill to teach is online. So the skill to teach online is something which I think if you guys can work around, certain programs which are intensive, which can create the passionate teachers to become as good teachers online as they are offline. So that put together, I think for the next 6 months, Atul, frankly, totally gray area. Campus will open, not open, we don't know. So everyone is fully prepared to do online classes. We're trying to look out actually to, close the gaps in terms of ability and comfort to teach online, because there's a lot of effort which goes into that, which is different from what goes into a physical classroom.
Sure.
So that's where we are.
Thank you, Sudhanshu. I'm going to bring Raghav now because you brought Raghav in, and I've got a very interesting question for Raghav. Raghav, yes, Coursera, great, but many people say it's out of context. Have you ever thought about creating a India Coursera? I'm not a big fan of Swayam, with all due respect to everyone here who might have contributed to Swayam. We find Coursera much more engaging, but someone has to create Indian contextual content. Is Coursera thinking about it?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Atul. And like I was saying, right, so today there are, thousands of universities who've adopted Coursera in the country. And to your broader question about what might happen in the next 6 months, and also specifically, are we creating an Indian Coursera? So from our perspective, we are thinking about 3 things for the next 6 months, right? In our work with universities, firstly, very simply, there should be more content available to universities and colleges in the country plus around the world. Today, there are 4,300 MOOC courses on Coursera. In the next 6 months, we'll add another 600 courses. And to the India Coursera point, today there is ISB and IIM Calcutta who create content on the Coursera platform. We are shortly announcing a few IITs and IIMs who are also going to start creating content on the Coursera platform. And then hopefully we can take that to millions of people in India, but also 65 million people on the Coursera platform around the world. And it would be fantastic for us to be able to do that, right? Personally, it's a moment of huge pride for me to be able to do that and to take top institutions from India to around the world. The other thing which I think we are working on very, very sincerely right now is we launched 2 months ago something called guided projects. And this is hands-on learning. It's a 2-hour guided project created possibly by somebody either from the academic world or the industry. And very quickly, we have built 200 guided projects. And many students are taking these as replacements for physical internships during the summer. We are going to take these 200 guided projects to 1,000 guided projects by the end of this year. So we are really going to scale this up very, very quickly. The second thing which I would say, and this is to Sudhanshu's point. So today there are only 165 universities, top universities who also know how to create online content, who author content on the Coursera platform. And there are 25,000 universities in the world. So it's a very small subset of universities who today create content on the Coursera platform. And I say this often that to create online content is easy, but to create high quality online content is not easy, right? And obviously higher education has shifted, right? We look back 1 year from now and realize how much it has shifted. So one of the things that we are working on is a university may or may not be one out of the 165 who are on the Coursera platform who are creating content, but every university, every faculty member should still be able to create high quality online content. And so we call this, there is public authoring, which is on our public platform, and there is private authoring, which is on a private platform. So if you're an institution, you have multiple locations in the country, and if you have some great faculty members, we want to be able to provide them the technology and the expertise to create high quality content. And one of the most popular courses, which has been taken by like 2-3 million people on Coursera, is called Learning How to Learn. We will create the equivalent of learning how to teach online. So how can we get high quality content to happen? And then the third is, is a lot of outside of just content. How do we bring a lot of other capabilities to the platform such that it makes the lives of institutions who are adopting Coursera a lot easier? One of those is around the regulatory aspect of this, Atul. And so last week, we announced a partnership with the Jawaharlal Nehru Technical University in Telangana, which is a public university. And the Commissioner of Higher Education and Collegiate Education of Telangana, Mr. Naveen Mittal, and our CEO announced that 2.5 lakh students in the state of Telangana across 290 colleges will now get to learn on Coursera platform for up to 20% of the credits that they are required to take as a part of their 160 credits for engineering. So public universities are starting to adopt. And what is even more interesting to me is because, like I said, it's going to be a very tough job market the next 2-3 years. A student can actually get specialized by learning on campus, but also learning on Coursera. So by taking 20 additional credits, a student can now at JNTU not just come out with a BTech Comp Science, but they can come out with a BTech Honors in Comp Science with specialization in artificial intelligence as an example. And to me, that's a powerful combination of campus plus online coming together to really, really differentiate what's going to happen in the next 2-3 years. So that's some of what we are thinking for the next 6 months.
Thank you, Raghav. Wish you good luck. I think, yeah, please go ahead.
10 seconds, a request to Raghav. Raghav, very sincerely, you must do something on equipping the teachers to really become champions at online teaching, because the student numbers will continue to grow, but and this online thing will not go away. It's there to stay. We need the excellence of what they do in a face-to-face to come onto the online. That is going to be the core need in time to come.
Yeah, I fully agree. I fully agree. And, the 2 points I made, which is take the IITs, IIMs to, the 65 million students on Coursera, but also enable faculty to be able to use online, create online content, which is equally high quality. And I think we need to take the fear away, because I know there's worry that we will take jobs away. And that's not what we're trying to do at all. As long as we can complement what faculty is doing, I think it will be a win-win for everybody involved.
So thank you, Raghav. Well said, and we wish you good luck. I think India needs lots and lots of support from platforms like yours. I'm going to move to Dr. Das now, Professor Das. And, majority of the discussion has been around teaching and learning, and we forgot a big part of what a university does, which is research. And clearly IIT Ropar has been on the cutting edge of research. We know that. So how is research changing with the new world, Professor Das? It's the same as usual for you, or you're seeing a different way of approach as far as academic research goes?
No, the thing is that I was just going to tell that is the most difficult point which this morning 3 hours I discussed with my deans. See, we do not really have any problem in online content because our faculty members and students both are very smart. So last semester, when in the middle we changed to online, I was really skeptic, but it came out wonderfully, and I am very confident that delivering content online in the coming semester also. Although we are saying the whole semester will be online, but the last final exam will be here. Even if it doesn't happen, I will, we will be able to manage. My main problem is PhD scholars. Now the thing is that PhD scholars, around 60% of them are pure experimentalists. They are doing pure experiments, and you cannot do anything without being in the lab, because this requires equipments of crores and crores of rupees which are there, and without coming there you can't do. One thing I'm seeing that probably as a beginning of at the initial stage of your research, even in the areas which are usually very experimental, like chemistry people do very little simulation, but they are going towards simulation, which is the trend abroad, which was not the trend in Indian chemistry people. They are now looking at, okay, can I do some initial studies in simulation? So that kind of a trend is coming, but still it is very, very early days to say that in the research section whether there will be any change, because till now I am flooded with requests from the students, by asking me to allow them to come back to the, they said we are ready to undergo quarantine for 28 days if you say, but still we want to be back to lab. So this is a very, very tough time, and I simply say I don't have a solution. We are just still debating about how we can do that, how we can bring them, how we can handle them. I mean, no solution so far, frankly speaking.
So we've had some big successes on research. Separate discussion on that, Professor Das will reach out to you. I'm going to go to Professor Gore and ask you, how will the next 6 months look like at your university, your institute?
Yeah, see, when I look at it from the research days at IIT Kanpur, a fourth semester student used to look like, oh, it's a pitch dark tunnel, no light is being seen around. Okay, the same situation right now when we look at the numbers that have been coming out.
Are you a BTech from IIT Kanpur by any chance?
No. I did PhD there.
Okay. The fourth semester of IIT Kanpur was supposed to be a killer semester. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Even for the PhD also, it was a killer semester. You do not know exactly how the things would be shaping out in the next 2-3 semesters. So that's what exactly the situation is. So we do not know, but we are making sure that we connect to our students. That's what something which we are trying level best. All my faculty colleagues are trying to make sure that they have connect to the students so that their emotional stuff is being maintained at par. Because that's what something which we want, that they should not be feeling like cut off. Because it happens. And the kind of a news which is being fed every day on the YouTube channels and other channels which they are getting in, so they are perturbed. Same is the situation with the research students and MTech students also. But courtesy digital platforms, we're happy that we are on a one-to-one on that particular one. And we do video calls and all that, and we make sure that we are on the terms. Next 6 months, fingers crossed. We do not know.
I think you've hit the nail on the head, Professor Gore. I think one of the key challenges we have is also to do student-to-student interaction, which is how can we create communities within students apart from teacher-to-student interaction. And
it's already there.
It is so well said.
It's already there. The WhatsApp groups and other groups are maintained. So they are having their own stuff. Even in the case of a Moodle also, they have got their own cluster. And they're doing that particular job.
Fantastic.
So,
fantastic. I'm going to, I think, thank you very much, Dr. Gore. Vikas, I'm going to pose one classical challenge to you, and I don't know whether you're facing this, but I think lots of universities like ours will be facing it. I can see 2 phases of admits happening for the new batch. For example, there are students who are waiting for the IIT JEE to happen. And that'll probably be September, October. By the time, by the time the counseling happens and, things happen. So we're talking about October. And there's some students are ready to go. So they're saying, we now want to start. So I'm seeing two phases happening, some students starting in September and then another student starting around October.
Yeah.
Is that something that you see happening? And if yes, how will you manage this complexity now, two phases of classroom teaching?
No, that's a very, very pertinent question. And that's a truth also. Actually in our case, the state entrance examination is going to be on 20th of September, and from 1st to 6th September is JEE going to take place. So this is very correct. A lot of students who are aspiring for engineering admissions, they would rather decide to wait for these examinations to be over, the counseling to be over, and then they would decide. But also there is going to be a number of students who have accepted these other good universities and other good colleges. So I think that bunch of students, they would they are applying now and they are taking admissions. So what we have decided, Atulji, specifically to your question, there's a lot of uncertainty for next 6 months. We are not sure whether we are going to have physical classes or not. So what we are planning, that as soon as 33% students are available, we will start the program. And starting the program means we'll call it kind of a foundation program or a orientation program, but we'll start engaging those students. So this is what we have decided. And another thing that we have decided is that all the faculty members right now, from right now to 4th or 5th of August, like first week of August, they are pre-recording their lectures. Like say first 33% of the syllabus, they are pre-recording these lectures, and these lectures will be shared with the students right even before they are starting the lectures, starting the classes. So what is, of course, we can have a I would say a question on the quality of video content, but faculty members are going to put their best self and try to create the best of the video lectures. But we are trying to solve this problem by engaging in groups. Like 33% students are engaged, and remaining can be waiting till the results are out. But we are trying to create a platform where we can show the students that if you decide to take admission now, we'll keep you engaged and the learning would not stop. So maybe the classes would start in mid of October, but till that time there will be a lot of learning taking place using these kind of video lectures, interactions. But yes, there is a lot of uncertainty, and we are trying to create timetable where we are going to split the class into 3. 33% students will be invited to come to the classroom. Other 66% students will be seeing the live lectures on their Facebook or other platforms like Meet or other platforms. So as as Sudhanshu has said, there is a lot of gray area, and everyone is trying to figure out their own solution to it. We are also trying to figure out the solution by how to keep students engaged in the best possible way. But there is a lot of uncertainty, I would admit.
Absolutely. So I can only add to that, Vikas, that we have started our foundation semester already, thanks to Raghav. So thank you, Raghav, for that. We're using Coursera in a very sizable way. I think fantastic discussion. 6:15 was my time limit. We are 2 minutes ahead of or beyond our schedule. So I'd like to maintain the schedule. I'm going to do something interesting now, which I always do. And by the way, this is my 150th webinar. So I do a lot of webinars nowadays. I speak to my students all the time. I hope I did a good job, by the way. So I'm going to request all of you to please give your last thoughts. But the trick is very simple. You'll be allowed only one sentence, and hopefully you'll maintain that. So we'll start with Raghav. Your one sentence, last thoughts, one sentence, Raghav.
From our perspective, we are going to be focusing on lots of innovation and lots of rapid change in the next 12 months, Atul.
Fantastic. Professor Gore.
Smile, do your job.
I didn't hear you.
Smile and do your job.
Oh, smile and do your job. Absolutely.
Smile.
Critical. Fantastic. Got it. Got it. Sudhanshu.
Flexibility is going to be the mantra in time to come.
Flexibility. Super. Professor Das.
Concentrate on world-class research in such a tough situation.
Lovely. Vikas.
Atul, 1.5 sentence. Some time back I read a book, Rethinking MBA, which says there are 3 skill sets required. One is knowing skills, one is doing skills, one is being skills. So I'm talking to my faculty members, faculty team here in the group, that let us try to reach to all the 3, portion of the learning: doing skills, knowing skills, and being skills. So that is what our focus is going to be for the next 6 months.
Fantastic. Before I request Ravi to come in, my one last sentence is, I had a meeting with my faculty today and I told them, we guys are very lucky. This is going to be the 6 months of experimentation and taking risk.
Absolutely.
So take risk and experiment. No one knows the right answer. So it's our time to be world beaters. Ravi, over to you. Thank you very much. I'm very excited. I learned so much out of this discussion. Hopefully, Ravi, you can also send telephone numbers of everyone so that we can be in touch with each other. Over to you, Ravi.
Sure. Amazing discussion. So much to learn and so much to gather from all this interesting perspective. We had an IIT here, we have a private university here, we have NIT here, and we have a emerging university which IIT is becoming a university. So it's a whole range, and along with Raghav, where all the digital courses are coming in a big way, not only in India but globally in each times. So Coursera becomes an important player. So with this we wrap up, and I thank all the speakers, eminent speakers who are here on behalf of Elets. Thanks for joining. We are honored to have you here.